We're going to call the meeting to order, the Canyon Regional August 10th meeting at 6 p.m. I will begin with board roll call. Danetta Roberts, Ted Gibbs,
Here.
Martin Poor,
Here.
Gary Gilbert,
Here.
Fernando Gonzalez, Phil,
Here.
Humberto,
Here.
Tracy,
Here.
Michael,
Here.
Mark,
Here.
I'm here. Oh, I'm sorry. Mark Davis, Mark Gilbert, Stephanie Gonzalez, Sherry, Nick, Dan, Jim Forsell, Doris, Mabel, Keith, Theo.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Just a reminder, if you didn't get a chance to sign in and where did I forget you at? I did. I skipped right over you. Andrea. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, just a reminder, if you didn't sign in at the front, please do so the staff can track you for the minutes. We'll move on to the invocation.
Bow your heads, please. Father, we thank you for this day and all the many things you've blessed us with. We ask you to be with those that are sick, be with those that are traveling, and watch over the sick. We ask you to be with these proceedings tonight. Give us the wisdom necessary to conduct this meeting in a manner pleasing to you in accordance with the laws of the land. Watch over us, guide us, and forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mark. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then on the invocation, if there's anyone else who'd like to give the invocation, I'm sure Mark would like to share the workload. Just get with me after the meeting or before the next meeting. That way I put a lot of burden on Mark over these last few months and love to share it if anyone feels so compelled. Moving on to item 4, announcements. The Board of Trustees of CRWA may during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session pursuant to and in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. The Board of Trustees may at any time during the meeting close the meeting and hold an executive session for consultation with its attorneys concerning any of the matters to be considered during the meeting pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Are there any announcements from any of the member entities? No announcements from CRWA here, so I'll move on to item 5, public comment. These comments are on non-agenda items. There'll be no discussion from the Board of Trustees with a 3-minute time limit per citizen. That time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Do I have public comments on non-agenda items? Not seeing any, I'll move on to item 5B, comments on agenda-specific items. This discussion from what the Board of Trustees may be allowed. 3-minute time limit per citizen, and that time may not be shared or ceded to another citizen. Do I have a public comment on a specific agenda item? Not seeing any, I'll move on to item 6, the consent items. We have the CRWA Resolution 260801 for approval of the minutes for the Board of Trustees meeting held on July 13th, 2026. And we had item 6B, the Resolution 260802 approving the financial reports and check register reports until audited for June. Do I have a motion on the consent items?
I'll make a motion on the consent items A and B.
Okay, we have a motion on the consent items. Do I have a second?
Second.
Lots of seconds. I think I may have heard Sherry first. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to item.
I need to abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay, so we've got 2 abstentions. It's up to you if you want to abstain or if you just want to approve. So we'll have an abstain from you, Doris, and Mabel as well. So we'll have 4. Yep. We've got Mark and Tracy. Okay, that motion still passes. Thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Item 7, reports. We'll start with the general manager's report. In the executive committee meeting, we had a member of the executive committee that asked Carrie to put the general manager report in the packet. I did talk about whether that's going to be what we do moving forward. I do think that that is a board decision on whether the general manager's report is included in the packet or provided to us on the day of the meeting. That's really up for y'all to decide what y'all's preference is. y'all have questions for Carrie about it, or if you have a strong feeling one way or another, please let us know. If not, we'll put it in the packet.
And I'll speak to that a little bit. That was my request. I've been going back and looking at historic agendas, and my general manager's report is loose piece of paper somewhere, not in those historically captured documents. And so that was my reasoning to request it in there. Brandon and I talked about it offline, and we did want to discuss it with the rest of you and make sure one single trustee is not dictating, how we do things. So that's my reasoning, and I appreciate Brandon bringing that up.
Yeah, y'all have an opinion on?
I concur. As general manager, I always insert my report prior to the meeting or with the agenda packet and it goes out. So
Other discussion on this?
Concur.
Okay, nobody's in opposition? Okay, I think we've got consensus here. Carrie, if you'll include it in the packet going forward. If you'd like to start your report, please.
Okay, and I'll answer any specific questions, just a couple of highlights. First, administrative, we did make an offer that was accepted for a water resources manager. His name is Stephen Reisinger. He comes to us from the Guadalupe Conservancy, and he has a lot of good experience. He has a military background, which in my opinion is always positive. And he'll be starting on August 31st. We're really looking forward to getting him on board. The Alliance Regional Water Authority, we had our board meeting last week. Two of the agenda items up were to approve the first and second guaranteed maximum price from the CMAR. We did take action to authorize the general manager to negotiate those costs. And right now, what we're looking at, they're still well over the original estimate. But right now, their costs lowered about 16% from the original cost model that the CMAR gave us. And we still have yet to take action on the third guaranteed maximum price. They did advertise those, and there were no bids submitted for that. So they're still working through that. I will also mention that GBRA submitted a letter to the general manager from ARWA and requesting that we wait. They feel like it might be better if we rebid the project under competitive seal proposals. I don't share that same opinion. I think if we rebid, the costs will only go up. However, despite that request, we did move forward and take action to give the general manager authorization to negotiate. For the other ARWA board members, is there anything else that I'm missing on that?
Yeah, I don't think we what was it? We didn't vote on GMP3, right? That wasn't anything. And then it was not to exceed amount is what it was. Not so they came back with both GMPs. We were still. I think we sat in executive session for like 45 minutes, still trying to figure out a way to see what we could give the general manager to some type of authority to act on, still trying to get towards that negotiation, lower some cost. But yeah, other than that, no, that's how it went down.
I'll add a handful of directors, Michael and I were there, spent a whole day with Pape Dawson reviewing in great detail both the GMPs 1 and 2. I've not been personally happy with the process. Guaranteed maximum price isn't really guaranteed in my opinion. And the construction manager at risk oftentimes is not at risk. The owner's at risk. So I'm not been terribly happy with how this process has gone, but I voted in favor of the action that Carrie and Michael outlined as well. I think it was unanimous, wasn't it, Michelle? Yeah, it was. So, overall, the board was convinced enough that it might be time to just press forward.
And there were what was it, 17 million in allowances that, the board still has to approve before they're actually, paid or dealt with. And so it could be 17 million less if we didn't have any money towards those allowances. And those were things like earthworks, if for some reason they came across, big boulders that they didn't know about or something of that nature, then, we have a line item for an allowance for that type of thing. So hopefully we keep that part to a minimum and come down at least another 17 million.
And as a reminder, I know that a good majority of this board is not involved in Alliance, but any support y'all need from the board, we still support our member entities regardless if we're in the project or not. So if y'all need something from us, let us know and keep us informed.
Couple of other things. We did meet with the general managers for the Hayes Caldwell. I'm sorry, with general managers for the P3 project to talk about that proposal and get their feedback on that. And we have that as an item to approve the first two phases of the owner's advisor services tonight. I did attend the Crystal Clear board meeting, their last board meeting. I don't know if you got an exact count, Mr. Saldana. I figured there were 200 plus people there. Over 50 signed up to speak against data centers. It's nice to go to these meetings and not have rocks thrown at the exporters and thrown at data centers, but it seemed to me that they weren't really throwing rocks at the board. They were beseeching the board to vote no for the data center. So I was pleased to see that they weren't really trying to beat up Crystal Clear. They're just saying, hey, we don't want this. Anything to add on that, Mr. Saldana?
Do it again this month. Y'all,
Is that right?
anybody else wants to, you want to come out again, we'll be same time, same place.
We met with the stakeholder GMs to discuss the Wells Ranch 3 participation agreement. There was really a disparity in the way that water was being billed to the entities. And all the GMs agreed to change that, which changed some of the costs and set things right in everybody's eyes.
And I correct you, it wasn't a current billing, it was proposed billing in the fiscal year 27
I
budget.
apologize, yeah, post.
And would you speak a little bit more to that? I know in our executive review meeting, you briefed us on it. It was news to me. The way I heard it in the executive meeting, Green Valley's cost would go up,
That's
but
correct.
it's my understanding Green Valley's cost will go down. So can you speak to specifics on it briefly?
Yes. So what was going on is the original Wells Ranch 3 included 14,500 acre feet. Two of the member entities pulled out, and so that there was that 5,000 acre feet left out there. When we executed the participation agreement, that was only for 9,500 acre feet. So that's what was throwing everything off. And so the changes, yes, Green Valley was paying an incredible amount more on the overall Wells Ranch because of that. And so making those changes, Green Valley's went down. I think literally everybody else's went up some, but it was, felt like it was more fair and not making them take on the brunt of that.
I think in the executive meeting, you just inverted that.
I
So,
did, yeah.
okay.
I said it.
When I
incorrect.
followed up with our staff, I heard the other way, so I just wanted to verify.
Yeah, you are correct.
I guess the short story is the fiscal year 27 budget proposed a different methodology for calculating the raw water leases that was different than how we've done it before. We elected to just move back to the past, the way we've been doing it for a few years now. The participation agreement that Green Valley, Central Springfield, and Crystal Clear signed inadvertently locked the lease payments in to fiscal year 26's rate. And that was no one's intention to lock it into a fiscal year 26 rate. We knew lease payments were going to go up every year. And so we felt that would have been unfair to the rest of the Wells Ranch participants that we got to lock in a lease rate when these are all pooled leases. That's the short, long story.
We also met with the stakeholder GMs for Hayes Caldwell to talk about a master plan for the Hayes Caldwell group. Mr. Telfer has submitted a plan really that focuses on the immediate needs, the third mobile unit for membranes, as well as design and construction for the replacements for the Coke filters. We are still negotiating. We'll come back next month with asking for approval for a contract for operational master plan for all of Canyon Regional, including Hayes Caldwell. That plan will either complement what we already have or will incorporate it. But that will be more of a long-term comprehensive master plan for Hayes Caldwell as requested. That once we execute a contract with the consultant, they're estimating less than a year to get to the finalized master plan. So, and then probably the biggest meeting that we had was with the TCEQ to talk about the bin classification. Our former water resources manager, Chelsea Hawkins and Adam Telfer, put in a lot of work to prepare for that. Also, our legislative affairs consultant, Focus Advocacy, put in a lot of groundwork. They got us a meeting with the executive director of the TCEQ, kind of working from the top down. They went through legislators and had them reach out to get this meeting for us. What was very refreshing as we walked into that meeting, they were prepared for us. They had reviewed what we had already, sent them. We had a proposed plan to get to the bin 1 classification, and they're on board with that plan. It's going to be probably about a 2-year process. We've already started doing sampling. We've done 2 rounds of quarterly sampling. We'll have to do probably a full 2 years of quarterly sampling and show the results. And as long as they're favorable, I think we will have a really good chance to get back down to bin 1 classification. They did really take notice of the projections and the calculations. Right now, because we have to do daily integrity tests, we waste about 196 million gallons of water a year. That's over 600 acre feet. And we lose about 111 days of production because of it. If we can get to bin 1 and have weekly integrity testing, that water loss will go to 16, I think. No, I think it was 16 million gallons.
I can't remember.
No.
I think it was 6 days.
16 days lost, 28 million gallons of water that we'll still lose, but that's still a significant reduction.
I attended that meeting just as a board representative. I didn't have a real function there other than sitting there. And I thought staff was well prepared. I did appreciate TCQ being well prepared as well. They clearly thought about it and came to us. We came prepared with a giant, staff had a binder this thick ready to go through all these details. And they're like, hey, before y'all get started, we think we have a path forward. And so that was a lot of groundwork that was getting data ahead of the meeting that I thought was really important. And I was very, very pleased with the response. I did not think that we'd have that kind of response. Now, my only caveat to that is that takes care of Dunlap, but we've got work to do to be able to take care of Hayes Caldwell too. We've got to get some additional data so that we can prove up what we're proving up here at Dunlap. So that was the only thing that it could have been a home run if we could have just gotten everything, but we got really far on this. So I think staff did a great job. Kerry, you should let your staff know that I appreciated them being well prepared.
Will do. Thank you. Just kind of more of a trivial thing right now. I went to the Guadalupe Basin Coalition meeting last week, their quarterly meeting. They were going to be releasing for a few days because they're over the flood pool in Canyon Lake now. The Corps taken over. They were going to have a few days of increasing their release from 90,000 to 250,000 cubic feet per second. And then a few days after that of going to 150,000 CFS. So Canyon Lake is brimming full. And, they have to keep it down below 909. And that's all I have on my GM's notes. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Kerry? Kerry, I will ask if you're going to be including this in the packet now, as we've mentioned, that we probably don't need a comprehensive review of your report. Are y'all okay with that if he gives cliff notes, since it will be in our packet?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll move on to item 7B. We'll have staff updates with operations, budgets, financials, external affairs and planning, and administrative updates.
Mr. Telfer was out today. He's not here to give any verbal responses. The packet is in your updated information is in your packet. If you have any questions, I'm not certain I'll be able to answer them for you sitting here, but I can get you answers if they're too tough for me. Budget and financials. Of course, we are have an agenda item tonight to request approval of the fiscal year 2027 budget. I don't know if you have anything to add to that right now, Ms. McDaniel. All right. External affairs and planning, just wanted to highlight that TCEQ meeting again and, credit a lot of work and a lot of effort from our legislative affairs consultant for getting that meeting set up with us. Working with legislators and with the TCEQ to get that going for us. And they'll be with us all along the way. They're also working to get some meetings scheduled with us to get in front of some of the key legislators before the session starts next year. So in the fall, we're looking to make some meetings for that as well. Once we get those scheduled, I'll keep the board updated on that. Administrative, probably the main thing to note is that there's ongoing effort. Ms. Frankie's been working on getting together the wage ranges and the job descriptions. It's taken a while because it's really hard to find others to compare us to. There just aren't many entities that are like us. Ms. Frankie, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I'm just having to go through and read a lot of job descriptions because the title, when they share the same title we do, and then I read the job description, it's vastly different. So that's what's taken more of the time than anything. And so I just want to make sure that we put together a very good, complete packet to present to you guys. And so that's what we're working on right now. I have a couple of other entities that I've put in an open records request to get some more information from them on their job descriptions and their salary ranges and stuff so that they're more like Canyon Regional. It's just very difficult to find someone who's like we are. The other thing we've been working on is the policy. I'm going to call it the TED policy because he gave us the framework for it. Trey sent a really good draft of it this last week. And so we talked about it a little bit today. We will be refining that draft and then Trey will send out to all the board members for their comments. And that's going to be that policy that we had talked about for the leftover funds, how to distribute those either to emergency projects or planned projects, and then how to go about any excess that are left from there at that point. I think it's a really good policy. We just need to get it sent out. So Trey will be sending that out. I'm assuming this week, Trey?
Should be this week?
This week?
Next Monday.
Okay, next Monday.
I've got a flight in the morning.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Regina or Carrie, is this something y'all want to take through the budget committee first and then bring to the full board? Sherry, is that something that you want to see through your budget committee? That's kind of where it originated.
I don't think we have any budget committees scheduled though. I mean, we can make one.
I know a solution, yeah.
Well, I guess we could do that upon Trey's approval.
Or staff, if that's the route y'all want to take it, rather than just throwing it out in front of the full board and getting a whole bunch of different things, maybe have the committee help and maybe they can bring a recommendation to the full board.
Okay.
They started this process. We asked them at the end of fiscal year 25 to identify the funds and find a place from fiscal year 26. They did a great job with it. And I think this policy kind of comes from that, sets a path forward.
Okay, then I'll send it out to the budget committee then, and we'll go from there.
As long as the full board's good with that, I just think that it makes sense to take it to the committee that originated with. I'm seeing some heads up and down. I'm seeing no heads left or right. Great. Thank you. That's what we'll do. We'll get it to the budget committee first.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Anything else? No, sir. Okay, we'll move on to item 7C, committee and board of managers update. Nick was living his life on a beautiful island somewhere way away from here. Yeah, and so I ran the construction committee for him. We do have a few change orders to recommend later on in the agenda for y'all. Just got a few minor updates here. Apologize, I didn't get this in a packet for you, but we're working on the Lake Dunlap strainers here. I'm still doing our site preparation. Got shutdowns coming up here this month and potentially in September, depending on the water demand. We're kind of waiting on the Wells Ranch emergency generator still for some delivery of electrical equipment. So that's kind of on pause as we expected for a little bit here while we wait for that equipment to arrive. Hayes Caldwell phase 1 looks to be complete. I think staff was still, at the time of our meeting, was still going to make absolutely sure that work was final and done. But that sounds like we've got good progress on closing out Hayes Caldwell phase 1, and phase 2 work is still underway. The Paul mobile membrane units, we're waiting on we've got the conditional approval for trailers 1 and 2. They gave us a 1-year window to get those trailers in compliance with TCEQ. It sounds like the effort to get them in compliance is going to be relatively minor and should be done within next 30 days, if not sooner. So we'll have those in compliance well in advance. Our hope is that the third trailer that now that we've done this effort through trailer 1 and 2, that the third trailer will go a lot easier with TCEQ and won't need quite a comprehensive review, as we're doing the same thing with trailer 3 as we are doing with trailers 1 and 2.
Actually, we found out last week that, no, we have to go through the full review, so.
Great. Okay, well, that's all right. And then we're still under TCEQ for that membrane pilot study. That well 1 replacement at Wells Ranch, the test pumping is good. Adam had reported that there were good results, and it looks like that's going to be a productive well for us out there at Wells Ranch. And then they've got the final walk schedule for wells 2 and 14. Those are the upgrade wells, scheduled for, well, I guess it was scheduled for July 30th. I don't know, Bobby, did that take place? Okay, Bobby said that took place. And that's it. Any questions for me on the construction committee? All right, we'll move on to Board of Managers updates. Those were in your packet as well, but Phil, give us a rundown.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I did put a memo in the packet. It was kind of extensive, this last time, but I'll go ahead and hit some highlights. First thing I'll start off with, I know Adam wasn't here tonight, but the Board of Managers did review production numbers, right? And it's actually down, guys. I mean, so think about it, like all the rain that we've had, we're not producing enough water this year, and it's mainly due to rain. And I know from my standpoint and the other general manager standpoint, we also see that on usage, and we also see that in revenue, right? So it's one of these wet years, even though it's hot as hell outside, right? I mean, so that's happening. The Board of Managers did review that. It just may mean a little bit less variable costs than we anticipated, because not everyone's going to take as much water as they originally projected, but it is what it is. The other thing that I want to say, and I have it in the memo too, I want to emphasize that this bin classification is a big deal, guys. It's a big deal. And it's a big deal because TCEQ does not have a process to lower bin classification. They don't. They only have a process to establish it. So we are literally the first swimmer, in the race right now, trying to get it done, to get a bin classification reduced. 600 acre foot a year and 11 days of labor is significant cost. I mean, so the effort that the staff is undertaking, I know Brandon went up there personally, it is a big deal. I just want to tell the board that it's a big deal, right? And the fact that Canyon Regional is a first in approaching TCEQ to try to get this done, it's huge, right? And so, I know we're kind of, throwing a lot of sunshine on this, but, the effect is if TCEQ follows through, that will translate to savings in our budget. And I think that's the part that we need to know as trustees inside this room to do our work. I just wanted to emphasize that because it's a big deal. We spent the majority of the time looking through the 27 budget. And the Board of Managers spent a lot of time looking in the specific projects and looking at the cost overall. I will tell you guys that if you look at the past 2-year budgets, I mean, last year was about 18% increase overall in the aggregate. I believe it was around 18. I may be wrong. I might have that mixed up with a previous year, but it was a lot, right? This year, the budget you're going to be presented tonight is less than 1%. My memo says less than 2%. It went down a little bit more from when I wrote the memo last. And so what I'm saying is there's some priorities we have to fund, right? We have to make sure as a body that Canyon Regional has the money to operate. I don't think anyone sitting in here wants Canyon Regional to be underfunded, because if they're underfunded, that means we don't get our water. That's a bad thing. And our plants don't function because we don't fix things. So I think we found a happy balance here. And then the fact that we've taken this year's budget and we brought forward monies from previous years have not been done before. That's a big deal. So what we're doing is we're bringing forward money that we collected in the previous year. We're applying it to the current budget year, and that's an improvement. Am I spiking the football and saying, hey, we've got the perfect budget to give you guys? No, I'm not. And Carrie agrees with me too. It's not the perfect budget, no. But we have worked pretty hard to get a pretty good improvement. And I think we need to recognize that. And the results in the pudding, I mean, it's not a double-digit percent increase. It's a less than 1% increase, which is some work, right? So we've got to pay attention to that. So anyway, I'll just say that we worked on that pretty closely. So we do have some recommendations from the Board of Managers tonight. The first one up is that particularly we were just discussing the duty descriptions and compensation. This year's budget doesn't include compensation changes right now on what you're going to approve tonight. It doesn't. It includes some overages, that we have in that budget line from the previous year, but it doesn't. The Board of Managers wants to recommend to the board to establish a committee to look at overall compensation, which, total cost of employee is not just the wage. It's also the insurance, it's the benefits, it's, the vesting plan and all that stuff that goes along with it. And we think the best way to do that is to be deliberate about it. And you got to balance keeping good employees on board and balance, and paying them appropriately with, just escalating cost, right? That's what we should try to do. So our recommendation to the board is to go ahead and establish that committee, and move forward from there. The second recommendation is Board of Managers does recommend we approve the budget tonight, provided that we approve the personnel as it is, but make a committee to examine it. And maybe if the number changes, change it in a later budget amendment. But with that provision, and also Carrie was speaking about the Hayes Caldwell group meeting. We discussed this extensively about the intake point at Hayes Caldwell to Board of Managers. And there was a $1 million figure in there that seemed really off to me. And I think you guys met together, and I was told you guys would, and you in fact did. So I think that number is going to come down, which we want that included. And also, we recommended we reduce legal fees a little bit because we finished a couple of lawsuits with San Marcos and with the other settlement with the engineer firm, and so we don't have any pending litigation that I know of at the moment, and so we want to bring that down a little bit, and I think that's reflected tonight. So we're going to recommend we go ahead and approve the budget with those minor amendments to it, and with the establishment of a committee. Third recommendation is we looked at the just like Carrie stated, the general managers met for it's Wells Ranch 3, but it's really the Bloomberg project. It's really confusing, right? We did meet, we talked about the P3 owners advisors. We talked about the RFQ. It's consistent with the contract that we signed with Canyon Regional. We all signed, 4 entities signed an option contract with Canyon Regional. In that contract, it states that Canyon Regional would approach a P3 firm and bring a firm to us within 1 year, right? And so this is compliance with the contract. We had previously agreed to share the cost of that 4 ways between the 4 entities on even-steven basis, and that's in the contract. So Canyon Regional staff is actually complying with that, so we're going to recommend that we go ahead and approve that tonight so we can get on with their contractual obligation and we can fulfill our contractual obligation to CRWA. I also have another recommendation. It has everything to do with, you were talking earlier about Carrie mentioned the price of the raw water, right? So it's Board of Managers' recommendation that the board give direction to the staff to bring back a recommendation on what to do with the 5,000 acre feet of unpermitted leases that was vacated earlier this year by 2 of our entities. And the simple fact is that 5,000 acre feet is not needed by anyone else. Right? There's a lot of things we can do to that. We could have, somebody might want to assume the lease. We could sell the lease. We might let the lease go. Our recommendation is to have the staff to examine that and come back to the board because we've got to make a decision. If no one wants to pay for the 5,000 acre feet, we got to have somebody, we got to resolve the issue. We just can't leave it laying on the table. And so that goes hand in hand with what Carrie was talking about the price of raw water. Our recommendation is for the board to give the staff some guidance on coming back with a recommendation on that. Other than that, I had 2 other recommendations on here. One of them already spoke about, which was the public-private owner's advisor, and I should do that. I also put one on here about the master plan. It's a little bit premature. Carrie mentioned that that's going to come on the agenda next month. And we're going to recommend to approve it, and here's the reason. If you guys that are familiar with master planning, usually master planning looks at growth of systems and all this stuff, whatever. And this master plan is a little different. In every master plan, you also have the engineers tell you the condition of your plants, whatever you may have, whatever your facilities are, and give a condition assessment, and then come back with a project list of things that need to be corrected, based on the condition of your stuff. That's a very important aspect. We've been talking about planning and master planning for a while, particularly in the Board of Managers. We're most likely going to be supportive of that. I'm a little premature. I thought it was going to be tonight, but it's not. So I'll hold that until next month. But I just want to say the importance of a master plan is not just planning for future growth. It's also taking into account the conditions of your facilities and get an engineering condition assessment to give you projects, right? So all of that's very important to do. Every master plan I've ever done has got that part in it. And so I think that's really important for us. So pending any questions of me, that's my report for this evening.
Questions for the Board of Managers?
Phil, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate everything you're doing. The public-private partnership, you said it was in your contract with Canyon Regional.
Yeah.
Have y'all, individual entities, ever had public-private partnerships?
No, this is a new thing. And, you know, and when we came to, and I'm glad you asked me that question. Why did we arrive at that conclusion? You know, and so when we were meeting with this group that whittled down to 4, right, we were trying to figure out what is the best way to bring a project to conclusion. And this particular water is not in Gonzales, it's in Guadalupe County, different groundwater district. And then we thought, okay, do we need Canyon Regional to do something more like another Wells Ranch, another whatever, you know, try to do it internally like that? Or did we want to try to do something different? And we met probably every 2 weeks, right, Brandon?
Yeah.
Over the course of maybe 6 or 7 months. And we arrived at, hey, we're all willing to give this a try and see if we can do something quicker and faster and maybe even cheaper. We don't know. But that's how it started. I mean, so it was a deliberate discussion, I would say, about over 7 months to arrive at that, right? So we didn't make this decision, you know, lightly or anything. We're trying to, you know, figure out the most innovative ways, you know, to get this water produced. Because let's be honest, we've had this water for a long time and we haven't produced it. And so we were trying to do that. Second thing we were trying to do is we put a time limit on this. It's an option contract. We had a year to do it, right? And we did that deliberately. So we had an end date, right? So we wouldn't be forever just paying costs. I mean, so that was the thinking, right? That we all did for about 7 months.
You know, again, I've had experience with public-private partnerships, currently one right now.
Yeah.
Past years have, and I'm not involved in this one, so good luck.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying is,
Yeah.
you know, the experiences I have are not very good because there's a lot of loss of control.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
We'll see. Hopefully it's not. We have off ramps.
Yeah.
Available to us, but yeah.
Other questions for board managers? So we heard recommendations on a number of agenda items that we have, but we also heard a recommendation that's not an agenda item. That doesn't mean we can't make direction to staff to move forward. We just can't vote on anything. So the recommendation from the board of managers after reviewing these extra leases that we still have is for this board to direct staff to come back with an option for offloading those leases. It's a little tricky because the groundwater district is potentially changing how many surface acres you have to have leased for subsurface water rights. And so that can be a little bit tricky, but we probably do have extra leases above and beyond what we'd need to get rid of. So my suggestion is for this board to direct staff to look back at those raw unpermitted leases and see which ones we may be able to drop so that we can reduce our raw water cost burden. Is that the direction from this board?
Yes.
Anybody opposed to that or need more information on that?
Brandon, do we wait until the new water resources officer starts at the end of the month, or should staff go ahead and start on that prior to the other employee beginning?
I think that the staff can get started on it, Nick. It's probably very important for that person to weigh in. Obviously, they've got the experience, but I'd be careful waiting too much longer. These leases are really expensive.
Yeah. Well, I would note too, the staff's not starting at zero. Ms. Hawkins, before she left, provided a pretty good detailed report of what's permitted, what's not. And so I'm saying the staff has got a great starting point. I mean, because I think the work that she did was pretty good. So I think it's within your realm, Gary.
I believe so too. I think we can offload 5,000 acre feet and still have enough leases. But don't hold me to that. It'll be pretty close either way, I think, if we need to do that. And so we can start with that and go from there. And like you said, there's a lot of that groundwork's already been done.
Because it's a twice a year payment, right? So next payment.
That's correct. Is in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll make that direction. This board will make that direction to staff. I guess, do y'all have a certain time y'all want to see something back? Do you want it back by the October meeting? Obviously, the September meeting, if we have a new water resources person in at the end of August, probably is going to be short to have their fingerprints on it, but the October meeting may be a reasonable time. Does that work for everyone? Okay, so we're directing staff to go back and see how many Gonzales groundwater leases we can drop, and we like to have that back by the October meeting. Thank you. Okay, with that, we will move on. Budget committee, we're going to hear from you when we get to the budget, so unless you have some other updates from the budget committee. Yes, ma'am. Okay, we'll move on to item 8, general business. We'll discuss and consider the proposed comprehensive plan for improvements at the Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant. I believe there was a meeting of at least the GMs of the Hayes Caldwell Group to talk about this plan and go through it. I've asked Kerry to give us a brief rundown of it. And he's also committed to me that if any trustee wants to have more detail on the plan, to reach out to them and schedule one-on-ones with y'all to help y'all better understand it.
And so we did meet with the GMs and talked about the plan. As I mentioned, this is really more of an immediate needs plan to get that third mobile unit online. Once it is online, we will be able to treat all of the contracted water, including peak volumes. The plan originally had two scenarios. One where if we could get the TCEQ to acknowledge that the identical trailer we already have on site, that the third one is going to be identical to that. The TCEQ is not willing to do that. So we were hoping that would cut us down to about a 3-month period where we could get through the review and have the trailer on site and get it in operation. It's going to be more like 6 months before that happens. We have a proposal from Ardura right now to start doing some of the design work that's required, as well as the coordination with the TCEQ, so we can start that review process to get the approval going. Right now, we're projecting to be able to have the trailer in place by March of next year, February or March of next year. That's really the gist of the update. The plan talks about the costs. We did request a high-level cost, updated cost estimate from Ardura in December of last year. That estimate was $18 million for the membranes, including we put in 20% engineering fees, 3.6. It's about $21.6 million for the full cost. So one of the requests at the meeting with the general managers is to look and see if there are any alternatives that are less costly. We realize that there are a lot of things that the member entities are having to pay for right now. New infrastructure. There's a lot of growth, and so we can wait a year to really start that design if we're going to go with a full membrane replacement of the Coke filters. We shouldn't wait much longer than that. We're looking at about a 5-year duration for these trailers to be in operation before they will require new membranes. And so in the next year we can get the operational master plan finished, marry it with this immediate master plan, and then make decisions on how we want to move forward.
Questions for Kerry on this item? There's no action component on this item. Good. Okay. We'll move on to item 8B, discuss, consider, and take possible action on the execution of agreement with the Guadalupe County Groundwater Conservation District to drill a monitoring well. You may remember that this item was tabled at last month's meeting. It was tabled to come back to this specific meeting.
There's a note that you guys want to table it again.
Who's trying to steal this stuff? In the back. Please.
That is correct. The groundwater district has advertised drilling of the monitoring well for bids. And we had to bring it back because we tabled it to this month. We are recommending that we table it for another month until we can come back and we'll know the actual cost of drilling the monitoring well, and we will have an actual agreement to execute. The groundwater district was of the opinion that they didn't need an agreement to proceed with this. I believe this board is of a different opinion. So we are going to finalize that agreement and execute that with them.
So we have a motion from Ted Gibbs to table the item, table it until the following meeting, Ted? Do we have a second?
Should we table to a date specific, or should we table indefinitely, unspecific date, to where if anything comes up, we don't put another item back on the agenda that doesn't need to be on there? The way Ted made the motion, I didn't hear a specific date, so I was going to ask that question.
I'm in preference of a specific date because it guarantees it comes back. But Ruben, do you have an opinion on whether we can table indefinitely? If there's any merits to one way or another, does it matter? Can we table indefinitely and staff bring it back when it's prepared? Can you use your mic?
I don't care. I just wanted to understand the options.
Ted, are we tabling indefinitely or to next meeting?
Definitely fine.
Indefinitely is fine. Tracy, you're fine with indefinitely?
Not really, because I don't want it to,
It sounds like it's coming back next month.
I understand, but if we, I just don't want to keep it going down the road without us bringing it back. So I'd prefer to see it monthly.
Ted, your motion is indefinitely.
I can change it.
So you're gonna amend your motion to be for next month's meeting? Okay, so now can I have a second on
Second.
the amended motion? Thank you. We're gonna vote on the amended motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we're gonna vote on that motion, which is tabling this item into next month's meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for going through that cumbersome process. That motion is passed. We'll have that item at next month's meeting. Okay, item 8C, discuss, consider, and take possible action on a resolution 2608-003, approving the execution of a professional services agreement with Accenture Infrastructure and Capital Projects LLC to serve as an owner's advisor to CRWA for a public-private partnership project. We've heard from the Board of Managers. We've heard from staff that they have met with the GMs associated with the cost related to this item. And those GMs are okay with this item. Board of Managers has recommended it. Staff's here to answer any questions, and Accenture is here as well if y'all need additional information. I'll open this up to staff to give a brief update on it.
As Mr. Rohan said, this actually was brought as an item last month, and there was information requested, and we did conduct a meeting with the stakeholder GMs, and we received a lot of information from Accenture that we forwarded on to them, and I believe all were in agreement to move forward. This would be for the first two phases of the owner's advisor services only. Phase one to get us to an RFQ, and then phase two to get us to the RFP stage to actually bring on the P3 firm. We would be looking at issuing these. I believe it's in the RFQ would be issued in approximately 8 months after execution, and the RFP approximately 10 months after execution of the agreement. Right now, we're still working through some of the legalese in the agreement. Minor things, nothing really major. We have the attorneys from both sides, discussing the agreement. So the motion that we would be asking for would be to.
It would be what's in the board packet.
Ruben, does your mic work? It does not turn red when you push the button. So Trey, will you hand him his mic? Because his mic is not turning on.
It's red.
Oh, okay. The ring up top is not.
You're absolutely right. Mine was not working. All right, when whoever reads the motion should read it almost exactly as the resolution that's in your packet, where it says, be it resolved. The motion should be motion to approve and authorize the CRWA general manager in coordination with legal counsel, et cetera, to negotiate and execute the agreement. So if you'll just make the motion using the language that's in your resolution, that'll be perfect. Not in the agenda. Do not make a motion based on the agenda language. Make it based on the language of the resolution in your packet.
I'll make a go at it.
One second. I think we have a question. Can we get to it before the motion?
I'd have a clarification. Where is this company from? Do y'all know? Is it based in, where are they based at? Not that I'm opposed to it.
Mr. Master.
I'm just curious.
Sorry about that. Good evening. My name is Alex Macklett. I'm the managing director for Accenture that leads the water business. Accenture is a global firm. That's 880,000 employees, $80 million in revenue. Our infrastructure capital project is 5,000 employees. I'm actually based here in Austin, Texas. P3 is what we do. I have the privilege to work on 4 different P3 projects around the nation, and every one of them actually has done extremely well. It is in service. There's a lot of ingredients you have to keep in mind when you do a P3 project. Selecting an owner's advisor with a lot of experience in that field is one of them. So happy to answer any detailed questions about Accenture, but in a way, I'm a little surprised you have not heard of Accenture globally. So
I've been in the business 26 years and I never heard about you, but it's just me.
The attorney that I spoke with was out of Toronto, I believe.
it's a global firm, and
Yeah.
yes, we have global resources. Now, this project will be executed from Austin, Texas. I have my project team here, the engineer, the governor's experts, and the P3 experts to answer any additional questions from the team.
Thank you. So any other discussion on this item? You making a stab at this, Sherry?
I make a motion to approve CRWA Resolution 26.08.003, approving and authorizing the CRWA General Manager in coordination with CRWA Legal Counsel to negotiate and execute the final Master Services Agreement for Professional Services document with Accenture Infrastructure and Capital Projects LLC to serve as the owner's advisor to CRWA for a public-private partnership project for the delivery of a brackish groundwater desalination water supply project.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion and second. Do we have any other discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nick did. Okay, that motion passed. Thank you, sir, for coming up and answering questions. Okay, item 8D, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 2608-004, ratifying the action of the general manager and approving change order number 5, 6, and 7 associated with the Hayes Caldwell Water Treatment Plant Improvements Project. Those change orders did come through the construction committee with recommendations to ratify the signature of the general manager on the change orders. Terry, will you give a brief rundown of the change orders, please?
Yes, sir. And I'll start off by saying these change orders are rather old. They came in when I was going through some medical issues. And when I came back, staff did bring them to my attention, and I got them confused with some other change orders. To keep that from happening again, we are conducting biweekly review meetings for any outstanding or pending change orders, so that we'll make sure that we're on top of them moving forward and don't let them, slip behind. Change order 5 was for the addition of an underslab drain that was not on the plans. And so that did have to be added. That was in the amount of $22,593. We recommend approval of that. Change order 6 was for rerouting the chlorine line from the existing utility from the new facility throughout the plant. Now, our design engineer approved was good with the rerouting of the line. However, they do not agree that it is eligible for increased compensation. However, this is a differing site condition. There are 2 mobile membrane units on site now that were not there when this project was bid out. And so CRWA does not agree with the design engineer on that. In fact, I think there's a good chance maybe because the first unit was in place when this was bid out, but it was not, the plans are not updated to reflect it. There's a good chance that we will be asking the design engineer to share some of the costs on this. One trailer was not there when it was bid out, one was. I don't think it's unreasonable for them to share some of that cost. So we do recommend approval of that. Change order 7 was for changes in the transformer pad. Blue Bonnet came back after we'd started construction. They had requirements for a different transformer pad design. That's for about $4,100. And so we did approve that, and we're recommending that for approval for ratification.
Questions on
Yes,
sir.
so again, I missed the construction committee meeting and I had staff send me some information on these to get caught up to speed. And I have the engineer's response pulled up for the RFI 39. Coordinate with CRW plant operations for final approval. This shall be done at no additional cost to the owner. So Carrie kind of touched on it, that staff believes it's differing site condition. I don't know what to do. I got one entity that we pay a lot of money to telling us not to pay for it. I've got our general manager telling us to pay for it. It's not a whole lot of dollars, but I'm conflicted. If in fact the design consultant is wrong, I think you mentioned earlier, you're going to have them start looking at additional work. If we're not happy with, the effort of what they're recommending and you disagree with it, I don't know that we give them other projects. So I don't know how frequently we disagree with them, but I wanted to bring up the point that got a document that says don't pay for it, got another document that says do pay for it. So it's a bit.
Well, and I believe that their recommendation is for self-preservation because they realize they made a mistake. When they didn't update their plans. They admitted they didn't even go out and look at the site. They just, dusted them off and crossed out the ones that didn't count. Canyon Regional isn't and will never be in the habit of cheating a contractor out of what they have coming to them. It is a differing site condition. What they bid in the plans did not include either one of those trailers. And that's why we're going against the design engineer's recommendation. If this were a design issue, then we would, very unlikely that we would go against them. But this isn't a design issue. It's just a compensation issue.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions on this item?
So should we make 3 separate motions?
No, ma'am. I think the way the resolution
Has all three.
has all 3 in them. So you're making one resolution you're approving that resolution, which ratifies the decision of the general manager to sign those changes. 5, 6, and 7 for Hayes Caldwell. So I'll entertain a motion to ratify.
I'll make a motion to approve CRWA Resolution 26-08-004, ratifying change orders 5, 6, and 7.
A motion, and we have a second from Mr. Gilbert. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Ramos.
Carrie, can you show me where these numbers are at for these different, because I'm trying to follow through with the changes. I know I see number 1 through 4 is 206, but they're like for number 1, change order is 20,000. Is it somewhere in here? And we could talk offline.
This is.
Yes.
We'll talk offline. I just want to make sure for my report that I can substantiate.
Okay.
But I'm fine.
Sorry for stopping you all. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The
I'm
ayes have-
gonna abstain just.
We have an abstention from Nick Sherman. Okay, that motion has passed. Thank you, everyone. Item 8E, discuss, consider, and take possible action on a resolution 26-08-005, ratifying the action of the general manager and approving change order number 3 associated with the wells number 2 and 14 pumping improvement project. Again, this is another change order that has been signed by the general manager under his authority that we've given him. And this is
This one has not.
I apologize. The item says we're ratifying. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's a mistake on the agenda.
Make sure we-
The general manager is not authorized to approve change orders for days without the construction committee, I believe is, but the general manager is not. We are actually this is for delays from GVEC in getting us the information and what we needed to be able to proceed with the project. There's a kind of a breakdown from MGB Construction on the timelines. We were recommending approval of this. However, change order 2 for this project, which also was for days, we cannot find any evidence that was executed. Again, this falls under, when I was out and it just kind of slipped through the cracks. Again, we're going to have biweekly meetings now to review any change orders so that this never happens again. But we do not recommend approval of this change order yet until we go back and look at change order 2. And then we will go to the construction committee next month, requesting approval of change orders 2 and 3. So staff is recommending that we table this item until next month.
Motion to table agenda item 8E until September.
Thank you for clarifying the end date. Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Gilbert. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. We tabled that item until next month's meeting. Thank you, Carrie. Item 8F, discuss, consider, and take possible action on resolution 260806, approving the CRWA fiscal year 2027 budget. Sherry, I'm going to let you start with just a quick rundown of the meetings y'all made and the efforts y'all had, and then we'll let staff present the budget.
Okay, so we had 5 meetings. We started the process in April. I do want to tell staff and all of the entities who came to the budget meetings and gave their input on the development of the budget. Thank you. I think it was a good, we had a lot of different ideas. We collaborated together, and I think that we did a really good budget this year. As Phil said, this year the budget is only going to increase less than 2%. And so the budget committee recommends approval of the budget as presented. And I think Carrie wants to give like a little introduction.
Yeah, I
about
do
it.
have just a short presentation. If you can bring that up, Miss Meredith. Are you calling me a loser over there? This is not in your packet because I finished it about 45 minutes ago, or no, about an hour and 15 minutes ago. But I'll be happy to email this to anybody who would like it. So our total budget this year is a little over $55 million. That's an overall increase of 0.27% over last year's budget. The GBRA raw water rate, it did increase from $193 to $202 per acre foot. That's one of the biggest factors. We did get some updated projected sales. The previous presentations had a little bit higher number than that, but so it's 24,404 acre feet. One of the biggest things to note, I think, is there's no increase in the budgeted amount for personnel costs. Also significant is our O&M costs, which is the biggest chunk of our costs, include the ARWA pass-through costs too, and that's a significant amount of money that that we pay to ARWA, but those are pass-through costs. And then the other significant thing I wanted to talk about is just the repair and replacement line item. I've been whining and moaning that we need a CIP budget, but that's just not something that we're able to do right now. So, but we can split it into an unplanned and a planned line item so that our planned projects can go in the budget and be separated from the unplanned. We are wanting to carry a $1 million minimum balance in the unplanned line item for each facility to cover any emergency projects that come up. And in the policy, there's a provision where it's possible to go over that $1 million if the board so chooses, up to a maximum of $2 million in the unplanned line item. So each year, when we get to the end of a fiscal year, we'll have meetings to discuss any surplus funds and where those are going to be placed. Next slide. This is just a chart showing the 5-year budget growth. It's almost flat from this year to last. And Mr. Ramos, this is the 3rd time now I've updated those dollar signs, and that one keeps pulling out for some reason whenever I pull it up. So yeah, for 2024, 2023 grabbed it and kept it, but 2024 just doesn't want to. So next slide, please. And this shows the allocations. By far, the biggest allocation is to the O&M line item, 43%. The next 2 biggest slices are for bond payments and the raw water. And you can see the amounts for the others. The biggest change here is the split up of the repair and replacement line item into 2 separate line items. And so the planned projects are just under $5 million. And then to get each of the facilities to a $1 million balance, because we had some surplus funds we could apply to some of the facilities, the total that we had to put in to bring them all up to that amount is a little over $2 million. And this is just showing the category growth. a little under 9% for the plant O&M. The 9% for the raw water. The repair and replacement unplanned, of course, went way down because that would have had all of last year it had the planned and unplanned in there. And of course, the planned projects, that's 100% increase. That's brand new. Line use and delivery, the main reason that went down is because we are no longer using Maxwell's pipeline under the wheeling agreement. We completed the Reedville pipeline, and so that water now goes through our pipeline, and so we no longer pay those costs. And next slide. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Joan. Do you have anything you want to add on as far as the highlights of it? No? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So on sheet 146 of 153, is a specific example. There's a CRW admin operations, a total manpower line item is listed. I had asked for a breakout of what that number consists of, and I was given last fiscal year's information. Do you have a breakout of how we arrived at that?
We do. I just wasn't able to get it to you at the end of the day today. We had a little misunderstanding on what I was asking for. But yes, I can get that information to you.
Because based on some previous coordination I had done with you, based on actual existing salaries, I came up with just shy of $1.2 million of admin need. And I guess I'm looking for an explanation of why there's such a discrepancy between this total manpower requested. And then there's 4 other locations in the budget where the different plants, their total manpower, and it also seemed a little heavy versus the need. So I was curious, for an explanation of that.
Okay.
Ideally, before we vote on it, that's why I was asking for it.
So last year I brought up a similar concern in that the budget committee had recommended an increase to the pool of salary money, but I knew we were going to have a surplus in fiscal year 25. I think we still have a surplus, Nick. When I look at the documents, it looks like we should have a surplus in the entire salary pool. And so I think that's an area where we can better refine the budget. We heard from the board of managers, legal fees is another area where we can better refine the budget. Those all should bring the budget down. But I think when we put together this compensation committee, we need to look at what our total compensation package is, how attractive this organization is to hiring. The last time that got looked at was with the policy committee, who did a ton of good work, but that's been already a number of years ago. I want to say 3 or 4 at least, if not longer. Yeah, and so I think it's time for this board to look at those compensation packages again. And that's a perfect time to look at those salary pools and make recommendations for budget amendments, because I was concerned about that last year too.
And I promised, I talked to Brandon extensively. I've taken up more time of his in this last month or a couple weeks since I got back from my vacation on this than I should have. And I spoke with Board of Managers chair. I've got easy access to him, so I picked his brain quite a bit on it. I promised Brandon I wouldn't beat a dead horse here because I don't think I'm going to get a satisfactory answer to my question, but I do want to point out Board of Managers, their recommendation to approve, but outline we have some problems still, some adjustments still. I know the Finance Committee looked at it extensively, and we still have, it's much better than it has been, but we still have some improvements to make. So, like I said, not going to beat the dead horse, but I want to point out there's questions that I still can't get resolved in my mind within this budget.
Okay. So we did hear from the Board of Managers on a recommendation to the full board to create a committee to look at the compensation package, look at making sure we've got the salary bands, job descriptions that are good. I do have an interim, not an interim, but a preliminary committee charge. I think I mentioned it to y'all before when y'all voted me in as president last year. I've made committee charges specific to each committee, the Board of Managers, the Construction Committee, and the Budget Committee, that define their duties and expectations and what this board needed to see out of them and their work product. I've got a similar charge for a compensation committee. So after the meeting, if you want to talk to me about if you've got some interest to be on that committee, I do think it'll be really important for for us to do and put together. I'm happy to hear it in my authority that the board's given to me through our admin policies. I have the authority to create committees and appoint members to those committees. So I'll be utilizing that authority to create this committee. And we'll start reviewing the compensation here, and the package includes retirement and benefits to make sure that we're competitive and we're in the right places for these things. Yes, ma'am.
So the only thing about forming yet another subcommittee is we already have a hard enough time getting people on the committees we already have to show up. So I'm not sure if we actually need to form yet another committee, or if this is something that the executive committee can look at.
I think that if we don't have enough interest from people who want to do it, then that makes sense. But we need to work on refining the review process for the general manager and how we're going to do the annual review. I think that's a big challenge in front of the executive committee that I've been short on working with y'all on. And so adding another task on top of that to the executive committee doesn't make a ton of sense to me when we have a monumental task in making sure we have the budget stuff working first.
I just know a lot of these committees, especially the ones that are during the day, people are very limited on their time.
Yes.
And it's very hard to get, 2 of 3 or 2 or 4 to come most of the time. So it's just a lot, as you keep adding more of these subcommittees, you're now taking another day of somebody's time each month.
Yes, ma'am. Again, if we don't have a good response from enough trustees who are interested, then we'll punt this to the executive committee because I do think it's important it needs to get done. Other questions on this fiscal year 27 budget?
Carrie, with regards to the project list, you said planned and unplanned. I don't see the project list here. Is it in here? Where is it at? I'm not seeing it. And also, I know you met with Hayes Caldwell, and we had some discussion about how we're going to reduce that, and I don't see it here. So show me where I'm not seeing.
Okay. Page 141.
Yeah, the title is Repair and Replacement Funds, Emergency and Planned Projects. No, I think go a little years. Yeah, I think it was before that one. Thank you.
Well, that's the cost. The actual list of projects is down right there. Yeah, there you go. And so the intake repair, so it was our engineer last year, he had told us $750,000, and to cover any peripheral costs, we put in $1 million. That engineer is no longer with the consulting firm, and nobody there knows where that number came from. So we actually have some updated costs for solutions for a backwashing filter, and we reduced that $1 million to $200,000. That's also to help cover some engineering costs to look at some longer term solutions as well.
No, thank you. I couldn't find it. I was looking through. I couldn't see it, but
Good.
I'm good. Can I make a motion?
You can.
I move to approve resolution 26-08-006.
So we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second on the fiscal year 2027 budget. Is there any other discussion on this item?
I'd like to make an amendment with also taking into account the recommendations from the Board of Managers.
Okay. So she's asking that you amend your motion to say specifically, we're going to take those recommendations.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Sorry, but yes.
So, Tracy, thank you. Okay, so we have an amendment to the motion. Do we have a second to the amendment? We have a second for Mr. Gilbert to the amendment to the motion to add the recommendation from the Board of Managers. All those in favor of the amendment to the motion? Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, the amendment passed. We now have a motion to approve the fiscal year 27 budget. Do I have any other discussion on that item?
I just want to thank Joan for, this is what, the 20th budget or something like this. It's getting
Yeah.
easier, I guess.
Yeah, Joan, staff,
That's 20 years.
And
the
Thank you,
budget
Joan.
committee
Sherry.
meeting
Budget
5
committee?
times.
Yeah, we met, and thank you for letting me be part of it.
Sherry as well. Definitely for
Yeah.
all the work that the committee put in.
Yes, and everyone who attended and those of y'all who have reviewed the packet, reviewed the budget, staff, the work the construction committee is doing to work with the budget committee, the work the board of managers is doing to work with the budget committee, having a board of managers who's engaged and providing recommendations to the committee, providing recommendations to the board, I think was the original intent behind a board of managers. So I appreciate that effort and the work that everyone is doing. I do feel like this organization has done a better job with these budgets and a better job with these processes over the last year. So thank you very much. Okay, with that, all those in favor? Yes, we already voted on the amendment. We accepted that. Now we're voting on the actual motion. Yes. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed?
No,
Then we,
no.
we have one no, Mr. Sherman. Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you, everyone, for your efforts on that. I did pass through quickly on the legal trade. And Ruben, did you have a quick update on legal? I mean, quick.
Quickest ever. Your board president signed the final settlement agreement that we've been negotiating with Tri-Hydro. So checks on the way. That's all I got for you.
Ruben?
That's it.
All right, thank you, sir. I do want to reiterate, we have a few items from this agenda. We're going to look at those raw water leases back for the October meeting. We are going to bring the Guadalupe County Groundwater Conservation District agreement back to this board at next month's meeting. We do have the change orders 2 and 3 from Wells Ranch will be at the next meeting. And then we will have a ratification of the board, the general manager signing of the censured documents. You've approved him to execute and negotiate and execute. We'll have a ratification of the signature at next month's meeting. With that, I believe that's all the outstanding items. We do not have any executive session items. Are there any future board member agenda items that I did not speak about already?
I'd like to add one. Now that we've closed out Hayes Caldwell Phase 1, I'd like to update the emergency action plan or whatever the technical term for it is, since the facility is completely different in shape and scope now. I know that plan gets updated occasionally, but now we have a different facility. We need to go ahead and update that in reference to the chlorine gas that's on site. So an unspecified date. So whenever we can get to that, I know you're very busy amongst other things, but I'll follow up with you offline in future months. So.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, we have a motion from Ted, a second from Tracy. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Tracy. You're killing me. I know. Yeah, I'm just wait for just give me our time. I agree.